The playoffs are over. It was a crazy month of baseball. Some guys folded, some unknown guys broke out and made a name for themselves. But today, I want to celebrate the best of the best. Let's go over the top 5 performers from the 2023 playoffs. Starting with relief pitchers, moving on to starters, and finishing with hitters. For relief pitchers, I want to throw out some honorable mentions. Paul Sewald was amazing in his first 8 outings. He picked up 6 saves and didn't give up any runs. But based on his performance in the World Series, I can't put him in the top 5. He blew the save in Game 1, and then he killed any chance the Diamondbacks had to come back in Game 5. He turned that 1-0 game into a 5-0 game. Those 2 outings turned a 0 ERA into a 5.40 ERA. Ryan Thompson was also very good in his 9 games, getting 5 holds and posting a 2.31 ERA. Matt Strahm pitched 5 1/3 innings over 7 games and gave up nothing, also putting out the fire in the Game 4 clincher against the Braves. Jose Alvarado was rock solid for the Phillies. 8 games, 8 innings, only 1 run, but he did falter in the most important spot, giving up 2 hits and a sac fly in their Game 7 loss to Arizona. Finally, Phil Maton appeared in 6 games, pitched 6 innings, and gave up nothing. Number 5, Jose Leclerc. This was Bruce Bochy's most trusted bullpen arm, and for the most part, he was good. He pitched in 13 games and only gave up runs in 3 of them. In 2 of them, it didn't matter much. The Rangers had a cushion. The one that hurt was a 3-run homer off the bat of Jose Altuve. That blew Game 5 of the ALCS and the Rangers lost. He got a massive out in the 8th inning of Game 6 before Garcia busted the game open, and he dominated the 10th and 11th in World Series Game 1, setting up the Rangers to walk it off. He finished with 4 saves and a 3.29 ERA. Number 4, Cody Bradford. This rookie only had 20 games of Major League experience going in, and he was thrown right into the fire. In ALDS Game 2, he pitched 3 2/3 scoreless ball, quieting down that Orioles offense that scored 8 runs in that game. He only gave up 1 run. That was a home run to Jose Abreu in a game the Rangers got blown out anyway. He had 2 perfect innings in the World Series, and he ended with 5 games, 7 2/3 innings, and a 1.17 ERA. Number 3, Ryan Presley. This guy's been nails for the Astros for years. 2021, 9 games, 0.93 ERA. 2022, 10 games, 0 ERA. 2023, 5 games, 0 ERA. I don't think he's appreciated enough for what he's doing. Obviously, people know he's been the Astros closer since 2020, but he's putting up Mariano-type stats here. The Astros playoff run was cut short this time, so not as many outings. But when they needed him, he got the job done. He got 3 saves, and his best performance was ALCS Game 5. He came in after Brian Abreu got tossed for hitting Adolis Garcia, and he worked his way out of the 2-1 nobody out jam, keeping it a 2-run game so Altuve's home run gave him the lead, and then stayed in to close it out. Number 2, Josh Sborz. Aside from Leclerc, this was Bochy's go-to guy. He was even on the mound when the Rangers won it all, getting him the last 7 outs of that game. That was his lone save, but he also picked up 5 holds, giving up only 1 run over 10 games in 12 innings. That 1 run coming in Game 7 of the ALCS, a game the Rangers won by 7 runs anyway. He had a 0.75 ERA, and the Rangers won 9 out of the 10 games he appeared in. Number 1, Kevin Ginkel. He put in twice as much work this season compared to any of his previous 4 seasons. 60 games and a 2.48 ERA, and he was Torey Lovullo's go-to 8th inning guy. He appeared in 10 games, both wins against Milwaukee, the last 2 wins against the Dodgers, and 5 games against Philly. His most impressive outing being Game 7, silencing that Philly crowd by striking out 3 of the 5 batters he faced, finishing out the 7th and owning the 8th. He pitched great in the World Series, but it was for a lost cause. He covered 11 2/3 innings and allowed no runs. Now for the starters, and I got a few honorable mentions. Brandon Pfaadt made 18 starts in his rookie year, posted an ERA pushing 6, but he found his groove in the playoffs. He wasn't always great. He got knocked around a bit against Milwaukee, but he was masterful in his starts against the Dodgers and his first one against Philly. That Game 3 start against the Phillies went 5 2/3 innings and saw him strike out 9 batters. He gave up some runs in his other starts but kept his team in the game, including that Game 7 of the NLCS. 5 starts, 22 innings, 3.27 ERA. Pablo Lopez only got to start 2 games, but he proved himself to be an ace. He only gave up 1 run in his 5 2/3 innings against the Blue Jays. And although Minnesota got whipped against the Astros in the ALDS, the one game they won was thanks to Pablo Lopez. He went 7 innings and gave up nothing. He ended up with a 0.71 ERA. Aaron Nola made 4 starts. 3 of them were very good or excellent. The last one wasn't as much. He dominated Miami. 7 scoreless innings, then gave up only 2 runs to the Braves in their 10-2 blowout win, then led another blowout against Arizona with 6 scoreless. They needed him to come through in Game 6 of the NLCS to clinch at home, and he gave up 4 runs over 4 1/3 innings, taking that ERA from .96 to .235. Still very good, but a bitter taste at the end. Number 5. Jordan Montgomery. He started 5 games and he set the tone right away, shutting down the Rays for 7 innings in Game 1 of the wildcard series. He wasn't good against the Orioles, but his offense picked him up. He went back to being dominant against the Astros, scoreless into the 7th and outdueling Verlander for the 2-0 win. Then he set up the team for a win in Game 5, going 5 1/3 and only giving up 2, but the bullpen lost that game. He also gave them 2 1/3 in relief in Game 7, giving up nothing. His only World Series start left him on a bad note, giving up 4 runs over 6. Still not bad, but it was the Rangers' only loss in that series. 5 starts, 1 appearance in relief, 31 innings, .290 ERA. Number 4. Merrill Kelly. He made his playoff debut this year, absolutely dominating the Dodgers over 6 1/3 to seal Game 1. Game 2 of the NLCS was his only bad outing, but not disastrous. 4 runs over 5 2/3. But he came back in Game 6 and only gave up 1 run over 5 innings, giving his team a chance to win, and he shined in the World Series. In Game 2, he went 7, gave up 1, struck out 9, got Arizona their lone win, and finished his 2023 postseason with 4 starts, 24 innings, and a .225 ERA. Number 3. Ranger Suarez. He was so good in his 14 2/3 innings in last year's run to the World Series, finishing with a 1.23 ERA, and this year he proved it was no fluke. He really is a big game pitcher. Rob Thompson doesn't let him go very long. He only went 3 2/3 in Game 1 against the Braves, but he didn't give up anything. He came back in Game 4 of that series and only gave up 1 run over 5 innings, earning the win in the clincher. In the NLCS, he got tied up in a pitcher's duel with Brandon Pfaadt, going 5 1/3 and giving up nothing. The one blemish on his record is kind of a bad one. Game 7 against Arizona. He gave up 3 runs over 4 2/3, picking up the loss when the Phillies needed him most, but that loss was more on the offense than him. Number 2. Nathan Eovaldi. He got 6 starts and the Rangers won all of them. As the pitcher of record, he earned 5 wins, setting an all-time record. That means he was giving the team at least 5 innings every time out, and that's important in this day and age of overusing bullpens. He went at least 6 in 5 of his starts, the only blemish on his record being Game 1 of the World Series, giving up 5 runs over 4 2/3. Aside from that, nothing but quality starts. 36 2/3 innings, .295 ERA. Number 1. Zach Wheeler. He got the 4 starts and he was money in all of them. He gave up 1 in 6 2/3 to set the tone against the Marlins, then no-hit the Braves for 5 innings and ended up giving up 2 runs over 6 1/3 in a game the bullpen lost. But the Phillies moved on and he dominated Arizona. 2 runs over 6 in Game 1 and 1 run over 7 in Game 5, even coming back in Game 7 to get 5 outs late in the game, trying to keep it close for the offense to make a comeback. He was a true ace in this postseason, 27 2/3 innings and a 1.95 ERA. Last one, let's talk about offense. There were so many great options here, so I just want to mention some guys who weren't top 5 worthy but were still awesome. Carlos Correa didn't have a home run and only drove in 4, but he hit .409 and had an OPS of 1004 over his 6 games. Royce Lewis did plenty of damage, hitting 4 homers in 6 games, slugging .773. Bryce Harper hit 5 homers and drove in 8, also walked 13 times, so his on-base was up at .455 in 13 games. Jose Abreu came to life, almost hitting .300, 4 homers, 13 RBI, .945 OPS over 11 games. Jose Altuve was just about as good in those 11 games, 4 homers and 11 runs scored, .906 OPS. Rookie Evan Carter only went yard once, but he had 9 doubles, finding himself hitting 3rd in that powerful Rangers lineup, hitting .300 and having a .917 OPS. Last one for another rookie. Josh Young hit .308, 3 homers, drove in 8, scored 13 times and had an .867 OPS. Number 5. Trey Turner. At the top of the Phillies order, Turner hit .347, 5 doubles, 3 homers, scoring 9 runs, .1033 OPS. His biggest hit was in the Game 4 clincher against the Braves, coming up in a 1-1 tie against Spencer Strider, 5th inning, and launching a home run that turned out to be the game winner and the series winner. He was hitting .459 after Game 4 of the NLCS, but he finished those last 3 games going 0 for 12, knocking his average down over 100 points. Number 4. Ketel Marte. You gotta put him on here. He has the all-time record with a 20-game playoff hitting streak going back to 2017, but that was finally broken up in the last game of the World Series. He got his 2023 run going right away, going yard in Game 1 against Milwaukee, drove in 2 more in the wildcard clincher, hitting another home run in the clincher over the Dodgers. He had 3 hits, including the walk-off single against the Phillies in Game 3, drove in 2 insurance runs in Game 6. For all his efforts against Philly, he earned NLCS MVP honors. He drove in a pair of runs in Games 1 and 2 against Texas, and even though he didn't get a hit in Game 5 and broke his streak, he did walk 3 times. It was a very consistent postseason for Marte, hitting .329, 7 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 11 RBI, 914 OPS. Number 3. Yordan Alvarez. Year after year, Alvarez is proving himself to be a very dangerous playoff hitter. He set the tone right away, blasting 2 home runs in Game 1 of the ALDS, going yard in the next 2 games against the Twins also. He even had a 2 home run game against the Rangers in a losing effort in Game 2. He had a hit in 10 of his 11 games, and of those 10 games, he had at least 2 hits in 8 of them. That's a .465 average. He slugged .977 and had a .1487 OPS. Just insane. Number 2. Corey Seager. He got his epic postseason started right away. In his 10 at-bats against Tampa, he walked twice and got 5 hits. Baltimore wanted nothing to do with him, walking him 9 times over 3 games. And when they finally gave him something to hit in Game 3, he hit it over the fence. Some people say all those walks threw Seager off for the ALCS, and even though he homered in Game 4, he only hit .192 in the first 6 games of that series. His teammates picked him up, and in Game 7, he had 3 hits and a home run to clinch the pennant. He carried that momentum into the World Series, crushing the game-tying home run in the bottom of the 9th, notching the big offensive blow in Game 3 with a 2-run homer, another 2-run homer in Game 4, 2 more hits in Game 5. All this was good enough to earn him World Series MVP honors. His overall postseason spanned 17 games, hitting .318, 6 doubles, 6 homers, 12 RBI, 18 runs, 17 walks, 1133 OPS. Number 1. Adolis Garcia. Making his playoff debut, Garcia played in 15 games and set an all-time record for RBI in a single postseason, driving in 22 runs. He did this with 8 home runs. That's not quite a record. Randy Arozarena set that with 10 back in 2020, doing it over 20 games. He really got hot over the second half of the ALCS, and in Game 4, he started a 5-game home run streak. And in Games 5, 6, and 7, he drove in a total of 12 runs. That included a grand slam in Game 6, and a 4-hit, 2-homer, 5 RBI Game 7. That easily won him ALCS MVP honors. He carried that into the World Series with his walk-off homer in Game 1. He hurt himself at the end of Game 3 and he was out for the last 2 games, but he left his mark in the playoffs. He was a major reason the Rangers got past the Astros, and because of those 8 homers, his record 22 RBI, his .323 average and 1108 OPS, he gets the top spot on this list. That's all I have for now. Let me know what you think. If I should have added anyone or rearranged anything, sound off in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and if you're new here and love baseball content, please give me a sub. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.